This video is not at all like my other ones. I'm going to be addressing certain issues I find in YBA that, well, in my opinion at least, should be prioritized. I get it. Bug fixes, changes, etc. aren't fun and exciting updates like new stands, skins, and other content. However, these issues have existed for a long time, to the point where I'm not sure as to whether they haven't been fixed due to motivation, technical issues, or other factors. And, you know what, I get it from Uzu's perspective too. I study computer science, and I can already say Uzu is a far better developer than I'll probably ever be. And I can understand that, from experience, bug fixes and making changes to things you've already done is boring and unrewarding, just like reworking stands. That being said, some things really do need to change. I'll go over it issue by issue, but overall I want this video to address the competitive environment of YBA and the direction that it wants to go in. To begin with, YBA seems to not be able to decide whether it wants to lean more to the casual, grind your stand and show it off kind of games, or a more competitive, combat-focused game. There's reasoning for both sides, and I think that that's what makes YBA special. It can appeal to both types of audiences. You have the super rare stands, skins, and the like that may appeal to the more casual side. However, then you have the PvP-centric game modes and features such as leaderboards that imply a more competitive aspect. I would argue that YBA has a really solid combat system to complement a competitive aspect. It has several mechanics like blocking, perfect blocking, dodging, dashing, ragdolls, stuns, N-lag, the like, and the movement is, in my opinion, by far the best out of any other game I've seen on the platform. Without any slander at all towards the other games, I often find, for example, in TB2, I feel as if I'm moving at a snail's pace compared to YBA, where there's large open spaces, sprinting and such. The movement just generally feels more polished and complete. And what sucks about it is that you have this really solid foundation for it, however the competitive aspect of the game is being ignored. Before I go ranting about balance, I'd first like to argue that there is little point to the competitive aspect of the game other than simply the replayability of fighting. In the 1v1s game mode, for example, you get a measly $50 in-game currency for winning a 1v1. I can get several times that amount just from killing Joe over at the train station in half the amount of time. I can even kill Leaking Eye Luke for practically the same amount. It seems like such an easy change to increase the rewards for this game mode, but I can't help but wonder why it's been ignored. Furthermore, and I'll try my best not to be biased on this, but leaderboard players get nothing for reaching the very top. Consider that the leaderboard are the top 100 out of the thousands and thousands of players, and they get nothing for it. Of course, as a leaderboard player myself, I can tell you we are not invincible. I've lost to Silver Chariot Requiem several times while using Made in Heaven, and if anything, being a leaderboard player just increases the toxicity thrown towards you when you do eventually lose. There is, and I mean this genuinely, no point to being on the leaderboard other than bragging rights. It means nothing. I have seen several players talk about the lack of replayability in YBA, and I honestly agree. I think that reaching the top should be, an ultimate goal that you get rewarded for. However, this brings me into my next point. The underlying systems that support the competitive game modes are broken. I'm unsure if this is the case with SBR. I don't think it is, but the 1v1's rank climbing is very unclear and often does not make sense at all. Earlier on the day of writing this video, I won a match fair and square and somehow dropped several points, dropping my rank from 14 to 67. I have no idea how I dropped points from winning a game, and that is exactly my point. Did I also mention that, at least for the Discord server, half the 1v1s are not registered? Did you know that very often you will complete a 1v1, win or lose, and there be no evidence of the match ever happening? If you don't believe me, play some 1v1s and keep track of the logs. I'm sure it isn't just me. You will find some of them do not register. I could be completely wrong, I don't know the back-end systems, but this could be evidence that not all the points are being accurately given out as the matches aren't being recorded. And if this is intentional, why hasn't the community been made aware of it as to how it works? I can't be the only one that's noticed this, right? I'm not sure how big of an issue it is, but if matches aren't being recorded, that makes climbing the leaderboards, which as I said is already pointless, that much harder. That brings me to the end of this section, and now on to the obvious one. Alright, let's open this with a sentence that will make Sea Moon, King Crimson, and the Handmaids cry. Infinite combos, or combos that do obscene amounts of damage with little setup or moves at all, have no place in a game that aims to suit competitive play. I don't understand why, for example, why King Crimson's Impale combo has been allowed to exist for so long. or why the hand is allowed to literally tap 2 buttons to do over 100 damage, and there isn't even a ragdoll or at least an N lag between them. These issues are also ever present in the SBR game mode. I'll talk about it more in a second, but I would argue SBR is in a relatively good spot at the moment, other than the fact that Sex Pistols can hit you with a multi-shot, which by the way does between a third to half of your HP depending on defense buffs. Meanwhile, a hand come up and just does the double swipes. There is literally nothing you can do, and I don't understand why things like that are allowed. Everybody under the sun has complained about Magician's Red, everybody knows about it, everybody knows about Sex Pistols, everyone knows about the hand, and again, I just wish more attention was paid to the balancing of this game. YBA will always be hard to balance because, canonically, there's no way Aerosmith should be able to beat The World Over Heaven. There's not really a way that Sex Pistols should be able to beat Tusk Act 4. So instead what happens is to make them balanced or at least usable, you end up giving them incredibly cheesy moves or combos, which is exactly what happened to the Sex Pistols rework and got us into this situation in the first place. That isn't right, and I shouldn't have to explain why. Again, this is a super obvious one, but it's one that I can't really blame Uzu for, as scripters will always be incredibly hard to combat. I'm not even going to get started on the presence of cheaters in SBR. Even with the changes to redeemed corpse parts, it seems that every other server has someone speed cheating with Magician's Red or the hand going around swiping at people. I'm not sure whether they cheat just because they find it fun, or whether there's something more going on, like grinding up accounts to sell them later, but it's just a real bummer and ruins it for everyone. You may not have seen them, but cheaters are unfortunately present in 1v1s too. On screen are 2 videos, one of which I defeated a cheater, the other of which I unfortunately lost. I reported both of them, but the big piss take is that in the second clip, which I lost, it also ended up taking away several points, as I mentioned before, leading to the drop from number 8 to 14 and then somehow 67. I would be mad about this, but I can't be because being on the leaderboard is pointless and it doesn't really mean anything to me. I know I'm complaining about the cheaters here, but to everyone watching, please appreciate that fighting script creators is literally a battle between developers, which is boring, tiring, and exhausting, so don't bash Uzu for that. He's tried his best to combat it, and I feel that the anti-cheat is the only thing that can really help here, and even then, those will never be perfect because someone will find a way to circumvent them. In fact, that being said, don't bash Uzu or anyone on the dev team for anything I've talked about today. I've spent hundreds of hours on this free game during the course of over a year, and what is present in the game is so good, and I thank Uzu and everyone greatly for their work. Even the moderation team, owning my own Discord server is pretty hard, and I can't imagine whatever Paragon and the others have to put up with. But there will always be issues, and I wanted to highlight them because I truly love this game, and I want to see it be the absolute best with no competition. To any devs or mods that have watched this, I thank you again for your work on the game, and I hope that I mean no ill will towards you with my criticism. And to everyone, thank you for watching. Again, sorry this is not the usual video, but it's something I wanted to get out clearly and concisely rather than talking about it on stream, for example. I hope these issues are fixed, but at the end of the day, it is down to what Uzu decides he wants to do, and even then, that strategy has made the game come this far. Thank you again for watching.